statistics will really tell you a story. Look at this, folks. First downs, TCU with only one, and that came on a penalty on a punt. TCU has not made a first down from the offensive line of scrimmage, Texas with 11. TCU has rushed 19 times for only 20 yards. That's not even a yard a rush. No passing yardage for total yards of 20 yards and lead it by 14-3.
We don't want to sound tongue-tied, but what we have here today is really one of the classic Southwest Conference encounters, a TCU team whose chances were judged as slim, none, and ho-ho-ho before the game started. And right now the Frogs are playing the Longhorns off their feet. Not so much competitively on the field, but on the scoreboard where they lead 14-3 without really generating any offense at all.
Here comes TCU out on the field. Jim Wacker, the man in the middle. He's been known to deliver some powerful sermons in his time. One of the most successful small college coaches in the nation, right down the road at San Marcos, leading Southwest Texas State to 2 national titles the past 2 years before signing on with TCU, and he has the upset of the year in the making right here. Texas won the toss at halftime and will kick off and take the win. There's about a 20-mile-per-hour wind coming out of the south end zone. So TCU will be receiving this kickoff from Jeff Ward. And Ward, the only youngster with any points on the board for Texas, he kicked a field goal in the first quarter, and that's it. Now, you've got another problem if you're Fred Akers. What quarterback do you go to? He started with Todd Dodge, he went to Rod Morshell, and then Rick McIver threw the interception that was run back for a touchdown.
He has to hope that one of the quarterbacks asserts himself and takes charge in the second half. You can't keep shuttling 3 quarterbacks in 30 minutes of action and hope to win this game.
Jeff Ward booms it down almost to the Texas cannon. It will not be returned, and the Texas defense heads onto the field to try to keep the Longhorns in this game until the offense can get on track. There you see the Southwest Conference standings. Now Texas undefeated on top, SMU, and Texas Tech right behind. So a defeat today could put a little stall in that Texas run to the Cotton Bowl.
The Horned Frogs with a victory only over Rice this season and 2 ties against Kansas in non-conference competition against Texas Tech last week.
Anthony Gully will be the quarterback. He hands off in the backfield to Davis, number 36. He fumbles, and it's recovered by TCU at the 28-yard line. I think they whistled it dead. James Manus made the recovery for TCU at the 28.
This, of course, if you're TCU, isn't what you would want to have happen in the first play of the second half, and that is to turn the ball over in your first try from scrimmage to Texas. So they didn't, and that's a big break for TCU.
Greg Curry made the hit for Texas. Manus the recovery. Second down, 1 to go for TCU at the 29. Egypt Allen is caught in the TCU backfield for a loss of 1. John Haynes almost took the handoff from Anthony Gully rather than Egypt Allen.
You'll see how quickly the Texas defense gets to the ball carrier in this play. Just as Phil said, they were there the moment the handoff was made.
Haynes had Gully in his left hand and Egypt Allen in his right hand. He looked like King Kong over there. Third down, 1 to go for TCU. Gully on the option. Gets across the 30 to the 35 for TCU first down, a gain of 6 on the play. Mark Lang, the tackler for the Longhorns, along with the All-American safety, Jerry Gray. But TCU comes right out of the locker room with a first down.
Make no mistake about the importance of this first down by Anthony Gully. Their first down of the game, rushing or passing. But what it does is keep Texas from just getting itself into a frenzy to start the second half. Keeps TCU from losing the momentum that it had coming out of the locker room. Big first down run for Anthony Gully.
Gully twists and hands it off to James Calhoun. Power across the middle for a gain of 4. Eric Holley and Jeff Leidy in on the tackle for Texas.
The longer the game goes, the more TCU is likely to believe that they can really win this game and that 14-3 lead is not a fluke. And that isn't what Texas wants them to be doing.
I think they already believe it, Mickey. And, of course, the thing about it is Texas may be doubting whether its offense can score now. Second down, 6 to go. Again, a big hole. over right guard. James Calhoun tackled in the defensive backfield by Mossy Cade for Texas. A gain of 7 on the play and another TCU first down. And now the Horned Frogs are really coming out and running right at that Texas defense.
We're seeing an intensity on the part of the TCU running backs that we had not seen in the first half. And the TCU offensive line is getting off its blocks very quickly.
Mike Flynn, Tommy Sheehan, James Benson, Ike Tyree, and Steve Page along the front line for TCU. Gully on the flip back. Davis. Texas has it. Jeff Lighting, number 60, on the tackle and the recovery for Texas.
A great defensive play by Lighting. We'll see it right here as the pitchback goes to number 36, Davis, and he is hit by Lighting. The ball is jarred loose, and Texas has it. The kind of break that they were looking for early here in the third quarter. And a statistic to keep in mind, Texas has outscored its opponents 73 points to 6 in the third quarter of conference games this year.
First down, 10 to go. The ball on the TCU 46-yard line. Morshell in at quarterback. He hands off to the front man in the I formation, Terry Orr, for a gain of 4. Gary Spann and Robert Lyles, the tacklers for TCU. 14-3. The Horned Frogs over the Longhorns. There you see the turnovers. They're equal at 3 now.
That was the third TCU fumble. Texas has had 3 pass interceptions and a fumble.
Michael Brown dots the I behind Terry Orr and Rob Morshell. Orr again pulls his way inside the TCU 40-yard line to about the 39. Another gain of 4 for Orr. Kyle Clifton, the tackler for TCU.
Texas trying to come at TCU with raw power now, using their strength and bulk to good advantage as Orr goes over the right side for the pickup of 4 yards.
I'll tell you what, he weighs 230 pounds, and when he hits you, you go the other way. Third down and 3.
Texas with the wind to its back.
And Michael Brown dives across the 35-yard line for a gain of 5 and a Texas first down. And look at that Texas bench. Boy, they're excited.
Now Texas with 3 straight running plays right at the TCU middle. And what you're going to be seeing is the TCU defense bunching in a little bit tighter, leaving the Frogs more susceptible to a downfield pass if Texas decides to go to the air.
First down and 10. The ball on the TCU 34-yard line. Texas bench exhorting the crowd for more cheering, and Brown fights his way inside the 30 to the 28. Another gain of 5 yards by Michael Brown before Robert Lyles applies the stop for the Horned Frogs.
Texas all year, and in other years when it had to, has been able to grind down its opposition. And that's what they're attempting to do now against a TCU team that, in Texas' mind, needs to be deflated some.
Again, the power I for Texas. Everybody in tight. Hand off to Orr. Listen to that contact as he pulls his way inside the 25 to the TCU 23. A gain of 5 and another Texas first down. Gary Spann, Kyle Clifton on the tackle for TCU, but not before Orr gets by.
And when he hits the middle of that TCU line, following his blockers, you hear the thump and thuds. It sounds like boxing gloves between 2 heavyweight fighters.
Big blocks being applied up front for Casey Smith, Kirk McJunkin, David Jones, Adam Schreiber, and Gene Chilton, the offensive line for Texas. Down on the field for TCU is Gary Spann, and that could really hurt the Horned Frogs because he's one of the top defensive stars for TCU.
TCU, of course, has very little depth and almost no experience depth. They've been playing quite a few freshmen, and at times this year starting 8.
Well, Bill Tomini and Kent Trammell are freshmen at nose guard and left tackle. David Caldwell is a freshman out of San Antonio Highlands. He's at right tackle. Robert Lyles is the only senior on that front 4. Kevin Dean is a freshman. Ronzel Brewer is a junior.
We've seen the Longhorns come out with just famous Texas-style brute power after recovering a TCU fumble. And that's one way to take advantage of their edge and depth and manpower.
Here comes Bill Boy Bryant to the left. Rob Morshell at quarterback. First down and 10. The ball on the 24-yard line. In motion comes Bryant. handoff up the middle to Terry Orr, and he gains about 3 to the 22. Byron Linwood, the tackler for the Horned Frogs.
Yes, number 49, the first man to Orr.
And Andy Pitts, the linebacker who was in for Gary Spann, also in on the tackle.
It's interesting and very much characteristic that we have not seen Texas try to do anything fancy, yet to throw a pass, running the ball right at them.
High formation, second down, 8 to go. The ball on the TCU 22-yard line. Bill Boy Bryant in motion. Pitch back. Here comes Michael Brown on the sweep right. Inside the 20 to about the 17-yard line. A gain of 5 on the play. Bill Tomini and Andy Pitts on the tackle for TCU. And now it'll bring up 3rd and 3 for the Longhorns. The ball on the TCU 18-yard line.
First Texas play, of course, that didn't go between the tackles in this half. Pitch out to Michael Brown, clearing to the TCU 18-yard line.
Nothing fancy by the Horns. 2 tight ends in the game now, Alvin Jenkins and Bobby Micho. In motion comes Bryant. Handoff, Michael Brown tries to get to the 15-yard line, and he's pushed back. A gain of 2 on the play. So now it brings up a decision for Fred Akers, and I don't think there's really any decision to make. I think the Horns are going for it. It'll be 4th and 1.
There's the handoff to Orr, who follows Terry Orr. A handoff to Brown following Terry Orr through the line, and he's met by a swarm of white jersey TCU Horned Frogs led by Robert Lyles, a linebacker who returned a recovered fumble 83 yards for the first touchdown for TCU. What a game he's had.
Jeff Ward is in the game, and he's going to try a field goal attempt from the 23-yard line. It'll be an attempt of 33 yards. It's up, and it's good. So Jeff Ward makes good on his 13th field goal of the season in 14 attempts, and Texas gets on the board, but again, the Longhorns cannot score that elusive touchdown. The score now TCU 14, Texas 6, and Jeff Ward has supplied all of the offense for Texas.
So in the last 7 quarters, Texas has yet to score a touchdown and has collected 5 field goals, defeating Houston 9-3 and trailing this afternoon against TCU 14-6.
This telecast is authorized under rights granted to Home Sports Entertainment. It is intended solely for the non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Home Sports Entertainment is strictly prohibited. The announcers for this event are selected and employed by Home Sports Entertainment. Jeff Ward booms it right between the uprights on the north end. And TCU will set up shop on its own 20-yard line. 14-6. TCU leading Texas. 7:52 left to play in the 3rd quarter.
TCU will have the wind to its back in the 4th quarter and would like to go into the final period holding a lead. Texas, of course, has moved into position now with a 2-point extra point, of tying the game at 14-14 if they can score.
9 plays on that drive, 38 yards. Took 4:33, and Ward capped it with a 33-yard field goal. Egypt Allen, Kenneth Davis in the backfield. Handoff to Davis, and he's met at the line of scrimmage by Eric Holley, number 83, 93. No gain on the play. It'll bring up 2nd down for TCU. Keep in mind now, there is a 20-mile-per-hour wind blowing out of the south. Texas has it, but TCU will have it in the 4th quarter. And if Texas still has to play catch-up, that could be an important factor in this football game. The Texas crowd wanting that defense to hold him, and it does. Egypt Allen, a gain of about a yard. Tony the Great really applied the old bonnet on that tackle. TCU now will be coming up with its 9th 3rd down play, and it's only converted on 1.
And an interesting development in that Coach Jim Wacker apparently has decided to stay with Anthony Gully as his quarterback after rotating Gully and Scaraffa for most of the first half.
3rd down and 9 to go. The ball on the TCU 21-yard line. Gully shouting some instructions to his players, but they didn't move. Gully rolling right. Gets inside of Lang, and Lang makes the tackle at the 22-yard line. I thought for a moment Gully was going to get inside of Mark Lang, but he made a shoestring tackle. And the Texas defense gets a roaring round of applause from this crowd. James Gargis will be punting from his 8-yard line. He's punted 5 times today for a 42-yard average. And he'll be punting into that stiff breeze out of the south. Kelvin Epps back on his 40-yard line. Low kick taken by the short man, Felt. He's inside the 45 to the TCU 40-yard line.
Well, the Texas defense has given the Longhorn offense great field position most of this afternoon. And, of course, the Texas offense is feeling enormous pressure now, but is in one area of favorable position in that if they score, they can afford to gamble on the 2-point conversion because of the leg of Jeff Ward and his ability to put through the 3-pointer.
30-yard punt by James Gargis. Return 12 yards by Felt. 1st and 10 for Texas. Again, power up the middle. There it goes. Power. 10-5. Touchdown, Texas. Number 49, Ronnie Robinson on his first carry of the game. He was not supposed to play today. And boy, for someone who was going to sit on the bench, a 40-yard run by Ronnie Robinson for Texas' first touchdown in 7 quarters.
What a place to use Robinson. You see him take the handoff straight up the middle on just really a short yardage power play. Cuts to the outside and he's gone.
I didn't have him on my depth chart, Mickey, because they said he would not see any action today because of an injury. Well, if he's injured, they need to put more of those injured players in the game. Texas now 2 points away from a tie. Going for it. Micho sets on the right side. Morshell rolling right. And he hit his man, Michael Brown, in the end zone, but he couldn't hold on to it. And TCU keeps a 2-point lead, 14-12.
The play was perfectly executed, and the ball was right there where Brown should have had it. I don't know whether he had a little trouble with the sun or what, but he turned away from the ball and let it get by him.
Well, Texas has come out of the locker room here in the second half to score 9 third-quarter points and get back into this ball game. TCU still leading 14-12, but the Horns have turned that momentum around in their favor now with 5:40 left to play in the third quarter.
Just an incredible figure. Texas has now scored 82 points in the third quarter of the 1983 season, and all of their opponents combined have scored 6.
This has been the Longhorn quarter. Color this one orange and white. Jeff Ward booms another one out of the TCU end zone. So again, TCU will be backed up on its own 20-yard line, and here comes that Texas defense.
When you're going against that fierce wind that's blowing this afternoon, that clock really seems to move in slow motion.
Another thing Ronnie Robinson's 40-yard touchdown run did, it got the crowd back in this game. They are excited and on their feet. 5:40 left to play in the third quarter. TCU 14, Texas 12. Anthony Gully at quarterback. James Calhoun, Egypt Allen in the backfield. Gully keeps, whistles everywhere. Jerry Gray applied the bear hug to Anthony Gully, but the whistle had already sounded. A flag on the far end of the field as the referees talk it over.
Game plans often are extremely effective just before the kickoff.
Joe Thomas says illegal procedure against TCU. That's the 6th time today.
Yeah, we've seen that. And TCU's game plan was to try to establish an outside running game with Egypt Allen.
Ball start, offense, first time.
Joe Thomas tells you about it. The 7th penalty for TCU, 35 yards worth.
TCU hasn't been able to run, and they have not yet really made use of their great receiver, James Manus.
First down and 15. Gully says he can't hear the signal, so he calls for time. This Texas crowd of 65,000 really making a racket now here in the third quarter, because for the first time this season, they could see that number 2 ranking and undefeated season slipping away at halftime.
Well, we started to say, Bill, that TCU's chances to win this game, if any, seem to hinge on their ability to spring Egypt Allen loose and to get passes by either Scarafa or Gully into the hands of their swift receiver, James Manus, and they have not been able to do that, but two great, huge plays, two brilliant defensive plays had given TCU a 14-3 lead. They can't go on all day making big plays on defense. They have got to generate something on offense.
First down, 15. The crowd back on its feet. Gully again telling the referee he can't hear.
And the junior quarterback from Dallas is exactly right. This is no time to let the crowd intimidate you. If he can't hear the plays, he ought to back off and let the officials handle it.
You know, Don Meredith always, it was his impression, Mickey, and we talked about it several times. Meredith said, I used to go ahead and run the play because that seemed to quieten the crowd if the quarterback would go ahead and run it. The more he calls for time, the louder the crowd gets.
It's not going to quiet this crowd, though.
No.
And if he had Don Meredith's experience, that would be something else, too. But with TCU having trouble at the line of scrimmage, having a great deal of difficulty just getting their plays underway, Gully is using, I think, good judgment, backing off.
So again, we'll try to get this 1st and 15 play underway. Gully throwing long, looking for Manus, and he's tripped up at the 42-yard line by Jerry Gray. He got his feet tangled up with James Manus, and it will be pass interference and the TCU first down at the Horned Frog 42.
No question about it, pass interference, but what you might have seen saved there was a TCU touchdown. Jerry Gray did get a trip on Manus, but Manus was on his way past him. The ball was perfectly thrown. That could have been an 85-yard touchdown
Pass
play for
interference,
TCU.
defense, automatic first down.
As it is, TCU will settle for a 27-yard gain. Maybe that was as you pointed out, Mickey Herskowitz, that may have been a pretty cagey interference play there by young Jerry Gray. In motion comes Dwayne May. Gully has got to figure Tony DeGreat's in the huddle with him back there, because he barely got the ball from center, and DeGreat was all over it.
The quickness, the fierceness of the Texas charge is something to behold. You see DeGreat really leaving with the snap of the ball, making an ankle tackle and bringing Gully down to the ground. Texas doesn't get called for offsides very much, but you see how quick they are. They go with the snap.
Second down and 12, TCU. Manus, Dwayne May, lined out. Gully. Look at that Texas defense. Oh, my. A 7-yard loss. Ed Williams, Tony DeGreat, Tony Edwards. Gully must think there are 15 Longhorns out there on the field.
It's just an avalanche of orange jerseys. And the Texas defense, there's just no way to really describe the ferocity of the kind of play that they are capable of.
The Texas defense gets offensive again. TCU backing up, 3rd and 19 now. The ball on the 33-yard line. Quick hitter up the middle to Egypt Allen, who gets out across the 40 to about the original line of scrimmage. A gain of 9 on the play. Jerry Gray, Richard Peavy on the tackle. The Texas defense holds one more time.
I tell you, even though the TCU, we have a Texas player down, and it's Tony Edwards. And it looks like he has a leg injury, Bill.
Well, he would be a tough one to lose. Came into this game with 58 tackles for Texas. He's a 6'2", 250-pounder out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, there's some hitting going on down there on that green turf. We started to say, even though TCU didn't make the first down, that was a pretty big play because it gives them a good kicking position against that strong wind and takes a little more time off the clock.
He didn't want to be carried off the field. He said, I'll run off. James Gargis will be punting now from his 28-yard line. Kelvin Epps back deep for Texas. Bad snap. Gargis feels it on one bounce. Felt feels it. Short man. 35, 40. and the 43-yard line. Mark McFarland, the tackler for TCU, a 27-yard punt by James Gargis. A penalty flag down on the field. Let's see what the call is.
It looks like TCU got flagged for a late hit.
A penalty against TCU, and it'll be a big one. 15 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct. So Texas now marching into TCU territory.
Dead ball, personal foul, white team, first down.
Penalty number 8. A total of 50 yards in penalty yardage is assessed against TCU so far. And for the third time in this quarter, Texas is starting a drive inside the TCU 45-yard line.
There are the penalties. Rob Morshell at quarterback. Ronnie Robinson, who had that 40-yard touchdown run moments ago, back in the game along with Michael Brown. Hand off again to Robinson. He fights down to about the 40-yard line for a gain of 2. And I guess it worked so well the first time, they said, let's give it to him again.
This is really shaping up as an interesting contest. It would be fascinating to see what happens if we go into the fourth quarter with Texas still trailing by a couple of points. The Longhorns in good position now to move at least to a field goal.
Robinson with a pretty good average, 21 yards a carry.
You got to keep giving him the ball.
Bellboy Bryant in motion. Morshell rolls right. He's going to keep it. And he tucks inside the 40 for a gain of 2. Gary Spann ran him out of bounds at about the TCU 38-yard line. Rob Morshell out of the leading high school for quarterbacks in the nation, Highland Park of Dallas.
I think we're seeing the first signs of the TCU defense beginning to wear a little bit. And it's important now for the Frogs not to let Texas stop the clock if they can avoid it.
Ball at the TCU 39. Third down and 6. 2:52 left to play in the third quarter. The Horned Frogs leading by 2 points, 14-12. Morshell being pursued and dropped for a loss by Robert Lyles back on the Texas 49-yard line.
Now there is a great defensive play by Lyles for a 12-yard loss, and he has been making them all day long. And you see, he just simply will not let Morshell get out of his scope. He just has him zeroed in on, and he takes him down.
Well, Texas with splendid field position to start that drive. Couldn't make anything out of it. 14 times Texas has had third down. 7 times they've converted.
And that is the equivalent of a goal line stand at midfield for TCU.
It really is, Mickey, because it turns the momentum back a little bit in their favor. And the time runs off the clock, and 25-second clock before Texas could get the punt off, so you'll back up the Horns 5 yards. John Thomas is back deep for TCU.
The final score, Penn State 34, Notre Dame.
Unless something really untoward happens on the punt,
Dead ball,
TCU
delay, offense, fourth down.
TCU should be in possession deep in its own end of field. But if they can get a first down, they can at least get through the quarter and get the wind to their back for the final period.
John Telchik will be punting for the Horns. Came into the game with a 45.5 average. He was standing on his own 30-yard line. John Thomas, as we told you, back on the TCU 20. A high kick, and Thomas will call for a fair catch, and he fumbles. Texas has it. Don Holloway recovers a fumble by John Thomas, and I said it was a high kick, Mickey. It got up in that wind, and Thomas had trouble fielding it.
It got up in the wind and the sun, and you see Holloway waving the fair catch signal, but kind of wobbling under the ball, and he just doesn't get control of it. A colossal break for Texas, but one that Texas made. A 40-yard punt, fumbled by TCU's Thomas. Texas recovery right at the 12-yard line of TCU. And here come the Horns again, knocking at the door.
Bill Boy Bryant will flank out to the right side. Ronnie Robinson in the backfield, along with Don Holloway, who recovered that fumble on the punt. Holloway has been starring on the special teams this season for Texas, but due to all of the injuries, he had to move up to second-team fullback today. And actually, Holloway was replacing Ronnie Robinson in the Texas attack.
That's a kind of a neat turn of events for the Texas Longhorns. Really kind of one of those marginal plays that a coach hates, and that is the ball is inside the 15-yard line. Would he have been better off just letting it hit and hoping it rolled into the end zone?
Actually, Fred Akers has two fullbacks in the game now, two big line busters. There's Holloway. Boy, what a hit there as he gets inside the 10-yard line for a gain of 2. Byron Linwood and Holloway collided, and it sounded like, you know, deer season started today. It sounded like they hooked horns right there. Wow.
Well, it's just plain old thunder at the middle, as Kern Tips used to say, and you're seeing two teams really bowing their necks right now. Holloway, 2 for 6.
Michael Brown now in the game for Holloway. Second down, 8 to go. Bill Boy Bryant in motion. Handoff to Ronnie Robinson down to about the 7-yard line. Robert Lyles, again, the tackler for TCU, a gain of 2 more. They'll bring up third down now and about 5 to go for Texas on the TCU 7-yard line. And this is where Texas has had trouble getting the ball in the end zone.
Really an incredible day. TCU now has fumbled 4 times. We don't have the exact count. 3 first downs, I believe. Hasn't yet scored a point in offense and still leads 14-12.
Now we're in the backfield. Robinson. Bill Boy Bryant in motion. Morshell going wide, pitches back to Michael Brown. He's got the touchdown! Texas!
Absolutely a perfectly timed pitch by Rob Morshell. Made that play.
Michael Brown out of Dallas Lake Highlands High School, a 5'11", 195-pound senior. Watch Morshell kind of have trouble with the football here when he pitches it out, but it was a perfect pitch, and Brown gets around the corner and right inside the right end zone marker. And Texas, for the first time now, gets the lead back in the second half, 18-14. And Jeff Ward will be in to attempt the extra point. Actually, no, I think Texas will go for 2. That's right.
On the touchdown, Alanda Smith came up, and Morshell made him commit. It looked like he had a chance to sack Rob, but he got the pitch out of the way to Michael Brown just at the perfect time. You look at it again. Morshell starts to his right. Alanda Smith now right in his face, and the ball gets away perfectly to Michael Brown as he outruns 2 TCU defenders to get to the corner of the end zone.
Kyle Clifton and Kent Trammell, as you see Fred Akers talking it over to apparently his number 1 quarterback again, Rob Morshell. Todd Dodge, supposedly the best passer of the 2. Morshell, the runner. And I guess Fred Akers said, I'm coming out and going with what worked for me. What was it Darrell Royal used to say?
Dance to the one that brung you.
That's right.
Dance to the one that brung you.
Well, he brung them to 6th grade wins, so they're going back to him.
And Fred was under some criticism for making the change a week ago before the Houston game, facing a tough Cougar opponent and going to Todd Dodge, who had not started all season after receiving a shoulder injury before the Auburn opener. But Rob Morshell has come off the bench to justify the faith of Fred Akers.
The one thing about Morshell that impresses me, Mickey, he may not pass too good and he may not be that outstanding a runner, but he's a winner. And there's another quarterback at SMU right out of his same high school, Dallas Highland Park, who's a winner also.
Very much so, Lance McElhaney. Texas with an 18-14 lead. A field goal by TCU won't tie the game, but Texas would like to get a couple of more points.
Going for 2 points. Morshell going to run it. He's got a whole bunch of blockers, and he's got it. That was student body right if I've ever seen it. Cheerleaders, band, everybody pulled and blocked on that one.
One of the impressive things today has been the toughness with which Rob Morshell has run the ball. Following his blockers to the right side, he would not be